Man, what an episode. Now, if you haven't seen the season finale of the Clone Wars, you should probably click away from this video because they're definitely going to contain spoilers. I mean, this episode, it was intense. It had a lot of action, emotion, the animation was great. I couldn't have asked for a better ending. The finale ties in Revenge of the Sith perfectly well with what is going on in the galaxy during this time period. I mean, it's safe to say that during this whole time with Ahsoka, Rex, and Maul escaping the Venator, that Anakin is marching on the temple. That's intense if you really think about it. I really like to think that this final arc of the Clone Wars really shows Order 66 in a new light that we really haven't gotten before. Seeing what happened to Ahsoka and Rex and Maul and their point of view of what happened was really interesting. I think it really did a lot for their story. Now, this video isn't really about the whole episode, rather than just what happened to Maul. In the final episode of the arc, we see Maul make his escape with the comlink he got from the severed arm of the clone trooper of the previous episode. He eventually made his way to the hyperdrive room and went to town on some clones. He really reminded me of Starkiller in a lot of ways. The way he destroyed the clones and used the weapons against them, not even using a lightsaber, and using the Force to break the hyperdrive down really brought me back to playing the Force Nation. Now Maul knew during this that he had to escape quickly before Ahsoka did, and he made it to the hangar bay and made his way to a ship when Ahsoka confronted him. Ahsoka attacking him and swinging her lightsabers, she actually almost kills him when he pushes her away, giving him time to get in the ship and start to fly away. Now before he's actually able to leave the Venator in the ship, Ahsoka uses the Force to stop his ship. This reminded me of the part in Rise of Skywalker where Rey stops the ship from leaving with Chewie. This scene also brings up a lot of questions, like why couldn't other Jedi use the Force to prevent people from escaping? Why couldn't Yoda stop Dooku's ship in Attack of the Clones? Anyways, the point is that this scene really shows Ahsoka's true power in the Force. Now ultimately Maul escapes, but I still think that Ahsoka has made a huge improvement in her skills throughout the show if you really think about it. Looking back on the Clone Wars movie where we first see Ahsoka and now, the change in her power level in the Force is really drastic. Now moving on, Ahsoka is eventually forced to let go because of the growing number of clones attacking them. With Maul escaping, he jumps to hyperspace where we don't see him at all until the events of Solo, where Kira contacts him. Now this leaves us with so many questions, like where did he go? What did he do after escaping? What happened to him during this time? There is so much empty space that is really exciting for what may come in the future. Maybe a new animated show perhaps, that would be really exciting. Now I want to talk about what I think happened to Maul when he escaped, and what we do know happened. The things we know for sure is that he faced off with an Inquisitor and acquired their lightsaber at some point. We see this in Solo briefly and in Rebels. Next, we know that at some point he acquired a Darksaber again. How he did this is unknown, but I will touch on it briefly later. Lastly, we know that he continued leading his crime syndicate, Crimson Dawn, while hiding in Dathomir. Now, I know all of this doesn't amount to much, but I want to go further into some possibilities of what he could have done. I feel like right after he went into hiding and reconnected with Crimson Dawn, finding out just what them and the Shadow Collective have, or if even the Shadow Collective still exists. We know of the Pikes and Crimson Dawn alliance in Solo, but no mention of the other members of the Shadow Collective, so it's possible they went their own separate ways. Anyways, he goes into hiding and reconnects with Crimson Dawn. I think that even though Sidious doesn't really view Maul as a real threat or a rival, he still tried to avoid being seen to avoid being executed like the other Jedi survivors. Now it's at some point during this hiding that he acquires the Darksaber. The Darksaber is nowhere to be seen in the final season of the Clone Wars, so now it's a mystery of its whereabouts and how Maul acquires it once again in Rebels. Now it's really hard to make theories and try to speculate what Maul did during this time because we have very little to go off of. Going into hiding, reacquiring the Darksaber, and killing an Inquisitor and getting its lightsaber are just things we pretty much know for sure happened. This leaves so much room for Lucasfilm to play around with, whether it be going into a movie or an animated show again. I feel like they can do so much more of Maul going forward. I mean, there is about a 9-year gap between Solo and the final arc of the Clone Wars, That's a huge time period for Lucasfilm. But honestly, I want to know what you think Maul did during this time period, and do you want another animated show of Maul or even a movie? I think it would be very interesting. Let me know in the comments down below, and if you want to see more videos relating to Star Wars like this one, then subscribe, and I'll see you all later.